Welcome to another episode of Ghana Ground Up. I'm Desmond Kafui. On this episode, we unpack everything about Ghana's evolving real estate sector. Today's topic is one that hits home for many viewers and listeners abroad. It's basically about real estate for Ghanaians in the diaspora. If you're looking to build your dream home, to invest in rental properties or secure land, this episode is packed with insights, tips, and practical advice to make the process smooth and stress-free for you. So then, let's dive in. Let's start with the big picture. Since the year of return initiative in 2019, we've seen a surge in both interests and investments in Ghana's real estate sector. And this is mainly from the diaspora. And in fact, according to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, that's a GIPC, these investments contribute billions of dollars to the economy every year. You may ask, why is this happening? I'll give you three reasons. Number one, Ghanaians abroad want to maintain some connection to home. And there's really no place like home. So no matter how far you go, you'll be back home someday. Secondly, property prices here in Ghana are still affordable compared to the UK, the USA, or Canada, or wherever you find yourself. And to locals, property prices are going through the roof, but the perspective isn't exactly the same when you're looking at things from the outside. And from the outside, I mean from the diaspora. Thirdly, real estate in Ghana offers excellent potential for rental income and capital appreciation, such that those in the diaspora can have a place they can call their own, and also a place that can make them good money. So, regardless of how you look at it, it's a big win. But then here's the thing, buying property from abroad isn't always straightforward. So then how do you avoid the pitfalls and make smart choices? Let's look at a few key considerations for the Ghanaian in the diaspora who's looking to buy a property right here back at home. So then here are four essential tips for the Ghanaian in the diaspora, and I like to just go through so that we get a good idea of what we can expect and look forward to. Now, number one, you need to do your due diligence, and as part of that, you need to verify the title of the property of your interest through the Lands Commission. And for this, I would suggest that you get the help of a lawyer, and not just any type of lawyer, not just any kind of lawyer, but then one that specializes in real estate. And a lawyer is a great resource, and you really don't want to skip on this, especially when you're doing a real estate transaction. And on the side, you may want to assign this task to your property agent, but then not everyone may be well vested in the process. So you may want to get a lawyer for this task and not assign it to somebody else. Secondly, as part of your due diligence process, you need to work with a trusted developer. You don't need to, but then it helps to work with a trusted developer. The advantages are many, and you can look at the safety aspect, assurance of a good finished property, and there's no hide and seek games, and also you can enjoy some good payment terms and other benefits. So if you're looking for some reputable developers to work with, definitely if you're looking at, let's say, apartments, you can consider Beaufort Properties. And if you're looking at, let's say, townhouses or houses in a gated community, you can look at a developer like Glorian Properties. A good name is absolutely worth it. So make sure you're working with a trusted developer to cut out all the excesses and all the pain points that may come with acquiring a property here in Ghana. Moving on from the due diligence process, you need to understand your budget. And so let's talk about the money aspect of things. Property prices in prime areas in Ghana will cost you more. This is a known fact, and this is the same almost everywhere. But then people normally downplay this and they go seeking prime properties with budgets that are far less than what the market rates are. And this may end up exposing you to fraudsters who may promise you they have what you want, but then they'll run away with your money. So then be mindful that based on the location you're considering, you need to be aware of the property prices and also the going rates. For example, a three-bedroom house in East Legon Hills may cost you anywhere from, let's say, $120,000 to $200,000. And this same property put in East Legon may cost you anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000. So then you need to be clear on whether you're going for a high-end property or a regular one. By regular one, I mean something more affordable. I understand that we ought to quote our property prices in Ghana cedis, but then today my bias is towards diaspora. So then I hope it only falls in place to quote the prices of properties in dollars, at least for today. If you're on a tight budget, you may want to consider emerging areas like, let's say, OEB or Santor, and other affordable locations that are not too far from the capital, Accra. Beyond your budget, I will advise you to work with professionals. This is really important because when you're buying a property, do well to work with a licensed real estate agent, for example, that is regulated by the Real Estate Agency Council. Now, the Real Estate Agency Council is working on some structures to properly manage the agents and brokers in the space so that you can be assured of good services over time. And don't forget to keep the matter of agent commissions in mind when you're transacting in Ghana. That's for another discussion, so we'll shelve it and get back to it later. Another professional you should get in your real estate transactions is a lawyer, and you need a lawyer to review every agreement before you sign. And it may seem like it's something unnecessary, but then you can assume that you can read and understand every term and clause by yourself. But please, please, please save yourself from future issues and get a lawyer. I know there will be legal fees to pay, but then you can be sure that they won't break your bank. Now, consider a term like sinking fund. I've seen cases where people bought properties and signed a purchase agreement with this term embedded, only to realize that they didn't understand what this was about. Now, do you know what a sinking fund is? Stick and stay, and I'll tell you what it is at the end of the episode. Still on the issue of what you need to consider when buying a property, you need to be aware of property scams and fraudsters. I really can't overstate this. Now, I wish this wasn't an issue, but way too many people have suffered and lost money by dealing with the wrong people. Literally, wolves marauding as sheep. Let me not hold this back. If a family member you enlist to help you acquire property pretends to be helping only to inflate the prices and even end up swindling you, I count such a family member as a scammer and a fraudster. No apologies granted. So it's not just about people on the side you meet online and all that who want to help you. Sometimes you need to also look out for those who are close by. So then, don't send money to anyone selling a property without any proper documentation. Do your background checks to, authenticate the identities and legitimacy of those you're dealing with. It's really, really important. And you also need to be cautious of double sales, where, a piece of land may be sold multiple times or to multiple buyers. One of the ways to avoid being scammed is to use a service called Escrow. Escrow, in simple terms, is like a safe middleman that holds either the money or important documents like, let's say, your property deeds during a transaction. And this is to ensure that everything goes smoothly and fairly. And, let's give an example. Let's say, imagine you're buying a house and instead of giving the money to the seller directly, you put the money in an escrow, which is more like a neutral third party. It could be a bank, it could be an escrow company. In this case, the seller only gets the money once they meet all the agreed conditions, like transferring the house title or the land title to you. So once that condition is met, and once both you, the buyer, and the seller are satisfied with the terms of the deal, then the money you pay can be released by that third party or that middleman to the seller. So as you can see, escrow protects you, the buyer, from scams and also protects the seller as well as making sure nobody loses out. So then stay safe and shine your eyes. Now let's talk about financing. Let's talk about the money. I know this is a big question for many diasporans, and the volumes of money that is involved in property transactions necessitates that you become very, very conversant with the payment terms or payment options that are available to you. So then let's look at some options you can explore. And in no particular order, but coming first would be Diaspora mortgages. And many banks in Ghana offer mortgages for people in the diaspora. And banks like, let's say, FNB Bank, Stanbic Bank, and Republic Bank, these are some of the banks or the well-known banks that offer mortgages tailored to those in the diaspora. And the qualification process is quite detailed. And if you have an idea of what it takes to get a mortgage in your current country of residence, then the process isn't that different from here. So then you need to provide, let's say, a proof of your income, a valid ID, and often they would require you to make a deposit of, let's say, 20 to 30% of the cost of the property. Now, know that the mortgage interests in Ghana at the moment are around 12% for a US dollar mortgage and up to about 25% for a Ghana cedi mortgage. Apart from a mortgage, you can settle for a developer's payment plan. And this is something that developers already do. And normally they would require you to pay, let's say, 30% or even 50% upfront, and then you can spread the balance over 12 to 24 months. Sometimes it can be more. But then it's not, this is, I mean, 24 months or 12 months is not the standard. So then you can have a more flexible term or a stricter term based on the stage of the project. An off-plan purchase is likely to give you more time to pay, and the time you have to pay often spans the period of construction, and there might be some grace period attached after the construction is done. But if the property is already built, then you're likely to get a shorter period to finish paying, often not more than a year. Sometimes you may even get, let's say, 6 months. These plans often have no interest, and that's a good thing, but then they will require you to fulfill your commitment to pay regularly and on time, whether you're paying monthly or quarterly. Either way, you need to be committed to making your payments so that you don't default and risk having issues with the developer. Now, beyond the developer's payment plan, you can also consider a remittance-based investment. And this is in a sense that, let's say, if you send money home regularly, you can consider investing in some kind of real estate fund. And I know some companies offer trust funds tailored for the diasporans. All in all, it's worth it having a place back home right here in Ghana. But then, why is it important for you to act now? Let's look at some benefits. Number one, you can enjoy high rental yields. Now, Accra offers an average of about 10% rental yield, which isn't bad at all. And in fact, it's a better rate compared to some other forms of investment. Secondly, you can enjoy some good capital appreciation. Now, in many prime areas, property values have either doubled or are close to doubling in under a decade, and prices have gone up really significantly. So if you want to enjoy some good appreciation on your property, it's good to invest now. Another good reason to invest now is your connection to home. By home, I mean Ghana, home sweet home. Owning a property keeps you connected, and whether you choose to retire here or not, it's good to have a place here that you can always come back to, a place you can call home. Now, if you're abroad and you're thinking of owning a piece of Ghana, remember that knowledge is your greatest tool, and you need to take time, you need to do your research, you need to lean on trusted professionals to guide you through the processes involved, and you also need to get it right. And so don't just settle for any offer that comes your way simply because the offer seems too good to be true. They say the best time to buy real estate was yesterday, and then the next best time is today. So then you know what to do. Get in touch with your broker or your agent or your banker or even your lawyer and find out more about what options are there on the market. And this is a good place to introduce our channel sponsor, Polen Realty. Now, Polen Realty is a top performing real estate brokerage in Ghana, and they specialize in prime properties in Accra and Tema, so more of the greater Accra region. So if you're looking for a place to buy, whether for yourself, a home, or whether you want to use it as an investment property, maybe an apartment, or you want to buy, something that will appreciate well over time, then do well to get in touch with Polen Realty. The details will be on the screen, so you can start your property search at polenrealty.co, not .com, polenrealty.co, and you can follow their social media pages as well to keep up to date with what they have to offer. To wrap it all up, I promised that I was going to tell you about what a sinking fund is. So then, a sinking fund is basically a reserve of money that a property developer or a property management company will set aside to cover certain large-scale repairs or maintenance for a property. Let's say you live in an apartment complex. The sinking fund is what will go towards fixing or replacing things like, let's say, an outdated generator, or let's say your elevators are faulty. These are things that cannot be covered by your service charges or the homeowners association fees. So then the sinking fund caters for these things. Now you know what a sinking fund is. That's it for today's episode on real estate for Ghanaians in the diaspora. I hope you found this helpful, and now I hope you feel more confident about investing in Ghana's real estate market. We'd love to hear all your thoughts, your questions, and even your success stories. So then do well to reach out to us on our social media platforms or in the comments, or you can even send us an email at hi@ghanagroundup.com. And don't forget to follow Ghana Ground Up on all the social media platforms. Do well to subscribe for more episodes like this one. I'm Desmond Kafui, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Ghana Ground Up. Peace.